Hey, Blake Williams with Battle Tested here, and this is story time number 48, Fire Your Boss. I was driving down the road just a couple of days ago, and I see this handmade sign next to the side of the road, and it said, Fire Your Boss. And underneath it goes on to talk about investing in real estate, kind of becoming your own boss, and it provided a phone number, which I did not call. But it made me think, these words, fire your boss, it kind of struck me for some reason. I've been in the corporate world a lot of years of my life, and there were times when I had amazing bosses I looked up to, aspired to be like, that motivated me. They were amazing. And then I've had some bosses that were, let's just say, less than stellar. Bosses that I would have loved to have fired because I felt like I probably could have done their job better than they could have. And if you think about it as a student athlete, you have coaches that maybe were and are amazing coaches. You know, you love that the boss role that they play in your life, helping to steer you in the right direction, help you be victorious, successful, those types of things. But you probably had some coaches that have been less than great as well if you've played sports for some time. Just like life, right? There's great people in jobs, and there's maybe not so great people in jobs. So we have bosses. But we can't fire those people. They are who they are. They're in the roles that they play, and you can't fire your boss. It's not within your power. However, we do have bosses in our lives that we can fire and that we perhaps definitely need to fire. And those are the bosses in us that we kind of create. They kind of perhaps are us. They're our mind, the thoughts that we have that boss us around. The thoughts in your head that make you choose the decisions that you choose, maybe make the bad decisions that you make to kind of control you in some ways. So for example, I might have a boss in me that says, you know what, you're not good enough, strong enough, fast enough, you're not something enough, and so forth. I'm hearing from a boss in my head that says, you don't have what it takes, Blake, you got to stay away from that, don't do it. I heard that boss in my head when I was first thinking about the idea of Battle Tested. I thought, hey, it sounds like a pretty great idea, but that's not for me. That's too scary for me. I can't do that. What experience do I have doing that? That was a boss that needed to be fired. So we have these bosses in us, and these bosses tend to hold us back from maybe trying great things. They make us think we're not enough, and they wind up kind of holding us down. We need to fire those bosses. I know it's something that, it's easy for me to say, right? A lot harder to do. I get that. I've certainly experienced it. It's a lot harder to do. Easy to say, easy to recognize that, yeah, in this area of my life, you know what? I've got that vice, I've got that sin, I've got that struggle that I always face, and it always just takes my lunch money. It kicks my butt. I got to fire that boss. I got to find some way, somehow to do that. Some of us lean into, God, and God helps us and can help us to fire that boss. Some of us maybe aren't spiritual in nature. We've got to find ways to use our brain, use those around us to help us fire those bosses in us that are holding us back from perhaps having a tremendous life, an amazing life, a great life, versus maybe the average life that we're having now, because we're being held back from really stepping into our full potential of what we could be. But you've got to fire your boss. Fire those bosses in you that are not helping you get to where you really would love to go. Good luck this week firing your boss.